Hello, welcome to Under the Birch Tree. This is episode 6. Welcome to anybody who's new here today, and a very big welcome to new subscribers since the last episode, and welcome to anyone who's subscribed since early on. I'm really excited to be getting a few new followers and having a few more conversations with people. My name's Claire. I live in the southwest of England with my husband and my 4 daughters. I've been thinking a lot about how I want my podcast to be at the moment. I find sometimes that I'm not very motivated to podcast, because although I really am motivated to talk about knitting and talk about what I'm working on, the setup is a bit of a faff, and that puts me off a little bit. And I've been looking at other podcasts and thinking about what other podcasters do. And I know that some people are lucky enough to have a dedicated space for doing crafting. I don't have that, and my house is a bit of a mess a lot of the time. I have, as I said, 4 children. I work full time and I'm studying for a master's. And I'm not very interested in housework anyway. I'd much rather spend my life knitting when I'm at home. So I don't have a especially nice space, and I end up having to tidy up wherever I'm going to sit and pretty it up. And I think I just want to make my podcast a little bit more real. I know I feel like I'm being authentic when I'm actually podcasting, but certainly my space is not authentic. And if I had a dedicated crafting space, it would be fine. As it is, it's not bits of wool that I'm having to clear away, but boxes of cereal and what have you. So I kind of decided to just go, well, who cares? This is my space. If it's stopping me podcasting, the fact that I need to tidy up, then I'd rather just go, well, this is me. This is my space that I'm in. So I'm in a slightly different space today. I'm on my sofa in the living room, and I've got my project bags behind me and an old project that I want to talk about. And I'm just going to start trying to podcast where I want to and when I want to, and be a bit more chill about it. And, you know, that may mean it looks a little less polished, but that's fine. I'm not a very polished person. Anyway, so I don't have any finished objects to show you. Sorry. I've been knitting a little bit more slowly because I've been getting a bit more pain in my hand. It's here this time. It's just different places. I don't understand it. One bit of my hand gets better and another bit gets sore. As long as I take it slow and don't overdo it, it seems to be okay. But I do need to be careful. And I've taken to occasionally wearing a wrist support between other times, because I think maybe I'm just a bit limp-wristed, really. It's when it's held in place it's a bit better, and sometimes I find when I knit with it propped on a cushion or something, so that I'm not having to, even if it's a light project, it's causing me some problems. But part of me wonders whether all of the problems stemmed when I started knitting socks on 9-inch circulars. I don't think it is, but it's difficult to tell because it also coincided with when I injured my foot and started using crutches for a few weeks. And I think that had a big impact on my hands. Anyway, for whatever reason, the answer is always the same, isn't it? Go slow. It's not a lot of pain. It's a little bit of discomfort. It's not getting worse. It's just not going away, and it's very frustrating. So that means my knitting's been a bit slow, and I don't have any finished objects. So I just got interrupted then, but that's fine. I'm in the middle of my living room, which is literally the middle of the house, so I'm going to get interrupted, but that's fine. So yes, I don't have any finished objects, but I will show you what I've been working on, and I sneaking suspicion I might have a finished object next time, my podcast. Anyway, so first of all, I'm going to show you my socks, which is just about accountability, because I haven't made much progress at all since last time. I don't know quite where I was at last time, but this is where I'm at now. These are my Juniper socks by Helen Stewart on with Bluebell yarns, and it's 100% British whiteface woodland in the fern colourway, and this is a local an indie dyer in Dorset in the UK. So I haven't really got terribly far. I'm working on these extremely slowly, maybe a row every few days, just to test whether that's the problem. I don't think it is, because it's a different area where the pain is at. Anyway, who knows? So that's just a bit of accountability. That's my socks. Put those away. Done, dusted. So my next work in progress is what I'm really excited about, and I think will be finished next time, and that is my Ingles sweater. So I was going to put this on, put the sleeves. I'm doing the sleeves 2 at a time, and I was going to put them on some waist yarn so I could show it you properly, but I haven't done that. Sorry. So this is Ingles sweater by Caitlin Hunter, and it's in Drops Puna, which is the alpaca yarn. And I'm just going to flip the sleeves to the back so you can see it from the front. If you've been following me on Instagram, which you can do, I'm at birchtree_knits on Instagram, then you'll see a couple of photos of me trying it on. But I have got as far as the sleeves now, which is very exciting. I'm just trying to detangle, and here it is. And it looks so amazing. I'm so excited about this. Just try and get this yarn out of the way. Oh, it looks so fantastic. I can't wait to wear it. It looks even better on the screen than it does in real life. Oh, I love it. Look at this lovely, yummy twisted rib, which is 2x1. And then I did Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, which is in, I did in pattern. Oh, I love it. So I'm this far down the sleeves. I think, so the body I haven't knit as long as they said for 2 reasons. One is I'm short, so I don't need it as long. And 2, I did want it a little bit shorter because I want to wear it over dresses. And then the sleeves, so she says to knit them 38 centimetres from the armpit, but I don't really know how long I'm going to make them. I'll start trying it on when they get long enough. I've done 10 centimetres so far, so I'm at least a quarter of the way through the sleeves, if not more. And as I said, I'm doing them 2 at a time. Got them on my magic loop. Twist it round, which I prefer to do. There's only one bit that I'm a bit disappointed with, but I'm sure that it will block out, and that's, not sure if you can see. Let's try this way round. Well, if you can't see, then that's good news. You think you can here. This is where I picked up the stitches, and for some reason they're not twisted. I've really examined them, but they look twisted and you can really notice it. I don't know why that is. I didn't have that on my other 2 sweaters that I made. So 3 sweaters actually that I picked up sleeve stitches for. So if anybody knows, please tell me why that's happened. I'm a bit disappointed, but I think I'm hoping it'll block out. Oh yes, the other reason that I've knit it a little shorter than she suggests is because it's alpaca, and alpaca is very drapey and very stretchy, and I know is likely to get quite a lot longer. So I'm hoping that it's exactly the right length. But I am very excited to wear this sweater, and I think I should be able to finish those sleeves in 3 weeks so I can show it to you on. And that I'll need to sit somewhere different for when I do that podcast, because I can't stand up from the sofa here. I've literally got the tripod right in front of me. So that's my second work in progress. I have a feeling this podcast is going to be a little bit short, but never mind, that's fine. And then my next work in progress is a new one. Now last podcast, last episode, I told you about my shawl that I was making with my yarn from the knitting shed, which I bought at Wonderwall last year in 2019. And oh no, maybe it was at the Southern Wool Show. Mum, comment below and tell me which one it was. And I was starting a shawl, and I can't remember the name. Oh, I know, Coastal Fog by Cali Monster, which looks beautiful, but I just wasn't enjoying the making of it, and I was about to rip it apart on that episode. So I did rip it out. So I did that, and I started the shawl I decided to go for, which is the burnt sugar shawl, and oh my goodness, I am loving this so much. So the burnt sugar shawl is by Laura Reinbach, and I'm so excited about this shawl. I think it's going to be absolutely beautiful. So it's meant to look eventually like this, and the darker section carries on this diamond pattern, except it's in pearl stitches. And so I've done the diamond section in the darker colour, the diamond, what does she call it? Diamond brocade, that's what she calls it. And I've just started the pattern in the paler colour, and I'm so excited about this. I really, really love it. Look at these colours, it's incredible. So yeah, I just started this bit. You can't see it quite so well because the wool's very pale. I need to put something dark behind it so you can see it better. There we are. I love how the diamonds just follow on into the pattern. This wool's amazing. So this is the Knitting Shed, or Ainsworth and Prynne, and the dark colour is brinjal. Not sure if that's focus. Go to focus. And this the paler colour. So sorry, this is brinjal, and this is Mrs. Dalloway. And these wool yarns are 70% merino and 30% silk. And what I've noticed about these yarns, I've knit with sort of merino silk singles a lot. And what I notice about these is that well, it's not really pilling, but they fluff, bits of fluff, kind of, as you work their way to the surface. And I've had it before on projects, and I'm going to show you one in a second. I don't know if you can't really see. But anyone who's worked with singles like this will know what I mean. And it can be a little bit disappointing. It looks kind of spot on the screen, but in real life there are all these sort of slightly fluffy bits, and it's not really pilling. It's not quite pilling, but it is a bit fluffing. And I think the shawl where I first came across this problem is this shawl here, which I'm going to talk about in a sec. And it resolved itself. That's what I'm going to tell you about. But so I'm not worried about it doing that with this yarn, because I'm pretty certain it will resolve itself. So this is my lovely, delicious burnt sugar shawl by Laura Reinbach with Ainsworth and Prynne yarn. So I'm really excited with how that knits up. That's in my bee project bag that I showed to the Lonely Knitter, who is a bit of a bee lover with her bags and things. So this is that shawl that I wanted to mention. Now, last week I talked about mosaic knitting quite a lot, and this is, I think, my first mosaic project. Rosie's Knitting Shed, who's another podcaster who I've very recently discovered and I think is absolutely fantastic and I've fallen completely in love with, she asked me about my first mosaic project, and I think this is it. So this is my road trip shawl. It's enormous. And this is by, oh, I haven't written down who it's by. I'll put it at the bottom. I can't remember who it's by, I'm sorry. It's an amazing shape. It's a huge triangle. It's not like my asymmetrical shawls. It's not terribly easy to, well, initially it wasn't terribly easy to wear, but I've worked out how to wear it now and I am in love with it. So when I first made this, there was a lot of this fluffing. Oh, you can just see it kind of there in the yarn. Now, this yarn, the green and the sandy colour, is 5 Moons yarn, who's Alchemoonist on Instagram, and whose yarn I love. I used it in that stripy top and something else as well, I think. This is her 5 Moons, so this is Diana 4-ply, and this is 50% merino and 50% silk. And when I was knitting this, you start at the bottom, and I was getting a lot of this fluffy pilling type stuff, and I remember feeling really disappointed and thinking, oh, this isn't going to work, it's not going to look nice. And then I didn't love making this shawl. It was a bit, I don't know, I didn't see the shape working out the way I wanted it to. This last wool yarn is a different sort of yarn. This is 5 Moons Lunar Plus 4-ply, and this is a sock yarn. So this is merino and nylon. This is in the plain Wicked colourway. And when I bought these yarns and put them together, I was so excited about the colours. I think I tried about 3 different patterns again with this before I hit on this one. And what I would say with patterns is sometimes obviously you give up on them and sometimes you don't, and sometimes you wish you had and sometimes you're glad you didn't give up, and you never really know. But this is one that I am really glad I didn't give up on. So back to the theme of the very first episode that I did of this podcast. This is mixed yarns again, mixed bases, and again it's really worked because I've got this lighter silk and merino at the top, and then this bit at the bottom is merino and nylon. It's not as silky. I don't know, somehow it just works. So I'm going to try and remember how I put it on to wear it, because it's a long time since I last wore it, because it's very warm. So I tend to do this. Oh, it's going to... Let me take the microphone off. Hopefully you can still hear me. I'll put it on again in a second. So I wrap it around my neck like this, tuck it under, and it is the warmest, fluffiest thing. And when you're wearing it under a coat and your whole chest is kept deliciously warm. And look at the drape on it, it's amazing. So this was my first mosaic pattern, and you can see how it works with these slip stitches, and it's a very simple mosaic pattern. So if you did watch my last episode and you were thinking about trying mosaic, this would be a good one to try, because it's a really simple pattern and really effective. These are the slip stitches that go up. So that's that shawl. I just had to stop it and restart it again because of going over that time limit where it cuts itself out. So that's my road trip shawl, which I wasn't pleased with when I first made it, and then I fell in love with, and now it's one of my favourites in the winter. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I've got very excited about being able to start wearing my hand knit shawls again. I kind of get, yes, it's cold and wet, I can wear my shawls. And I've been putting photos of which ones I've chosen each day. I haven't chosen this one yet because I'm kind of pushing my luck with the ones I'm wearing already, because it's not really that cold and wet. I'm sure as the winter progresses, that's going to be what I'm going for. So that's my works in progress, my previous knit. Now acquisitions. So I have got 2 kind of acquisitions that I want to talk to you about. I kind of mentioned it last time, but I did, as a way of protecting my hand and still doing something yarny, I decided to reskein all my unfinished, half-finished balls of yarn, and also balls that I'd balled up and then decided not to use. and it was a really lovely thing to do actually, and I really enjoyed it. But I also organised my stash when I was doing that, including some stuff that Mum had passed on to me that she didn't want anymore. And I wanted to show you these skeins of yarn. So these are Malabrigo lace, which is 100% baby merino wool, in the Garden Gate colourway. So when I acquired these, I think that Mum had acquired these from Ravelry, and one of the skeins was all big and fluffy and strange looking, and I tried untying it and then rescanning it, and it wouldn't go right, and I decided to untie them both and lay them out flat, and I'll put a photo up here maybe of what they looked like pulled out, and it really showed me how yarn, the nature of yarn, is changed by it being used in some way. And that's one of the reasons for rescaling yarn, because when it's held in a ball, it's held under tension, and that can change how stretchy it is and how fluffy it is. And that's what you can do when that happens, is wash it and then kind of re-block it into a skein. So that's what I did. So I reskeined them, and now obviously they, as you can see, they look identical. And as soon as I'd reskeined them and dried them, they were exactly the same length all of a sudden. So I haven't got a kind of planned project for these, but I wanted to show them because I'm really enjoying them. And something I tend to do when I get a new skein of yarn is I'll leave it out in my basket, and I just look at it and love it. And these have been out for a couple of weeks. I think I'd better put them in a bag and put them with the rest of my wool. But this might be another top, possibly. It's lace weight. There is, 470 yards. I don't know what that is in metres. 470 yards in each skein, so probably I'm guessing about 800 metres in total. So yeah, I think that's probably enough for some tops that are on Ravelry. So that's those. And then my other acquisition just arrived last night, and I'm really excited about this. My Ingles sweater was going to be a Manu sweater. Let me show you the Manu sweater. This is the Manu sweater by Isabel Kramer. And I used the Drops Puna. I bought Drops Puna because I'd bought it because some other people had used that to make this sweater with. But this sweater's meant for Aran weight, worsted weight yarn, and Drops Puna is DK weight, and I figured it would be okay because other people had used it. I was also using the Drops Puna for a sweater for my nephew, and so I thought, well, once that's washed and blocked, it will be a perfect swatch. I don't need to knit a swatch. So I used it as a swatch and counted the stitches, and it was way out. So then I did do a re-swatch, and it was still way out. So I decided that I needed to just give up, and I decided to use the yarn for this Ingles sweater. It's a bit difficult to work out where you're going with that. So then I thought, well, I still want to make this Manu sweater because I really love it. And I looked at what other people had used, and some people had used Istex Let Lopi, which a lot of podcasters talk about, and a lot of podcasters who make the kind of things that I'm inspired by. And as I said with those green socks of mine, I wanted to start working with more rustic yarns and things. So I decided to buy some Let Lopi to make the Manu sweater with, and that's what I've done. So it's going to be, the main colour is going to be this colour, this green. Now, they don't say the colourway colours on. It's 9423. I have a feeling it's something like emerald heather or green heather, something like that. And then the paler colour is going to be this. The pattern is going to be in this. And this is a little bit out of my comfort zone for a top. But I saw quite a few sweaters, different colourway sweaters, different colourwork sweaters that had been made with this combination on Ravelry, and they looked incredible. So I thought I would go for it. So this arrived yesterday. This will be for my Manu sweater, and this is a long way down my queue at the moment because I have a lot of other stuff I want to make first. So that is that's my my Manu sweater, my Let Lopi. It just says 100% wool. I know it's Icelandic wool. It is very scratchy, which I was warned, and I was expecting it to be scratchy. I've also been told it does fluff up and it softens up with washing and with wearing. So we'll see how we go. It will be an interesting experiment. I don't know when I'm going to get to this, but we shall see, and I will definitely be reporting back. So my next project is I'm hoping to finish the Ingles sweater. So the next project I cast on after that will be another sweater, and it's going to be that Love Note sweater that I talked about, which I will be using. I haven't got it down to show you, using that kid silk, drops kid silk with Holst yarn that I talked about last time. So if you want to know more about that, you'll have to go and look at episode 5. So that will be my next cast on. Hopefully I will have something to show you of that next time. I don't expect I'll have finished my burnt sugar shawl, but if I have, I've got something lined up for that. And I think that's it. I think that's all I have to talk about. I have briefly mentioned a podcaster, and I'm going to just mention her again in my kind of podcaster section. So this is Rosie's Knitting Shed, who I discovered quite recently and who I just think is fantastic. So joyful and cheerful and natural. I've watched her podcast with her mum. I don't know how I came across her. I often don't remember how I come across these podcasters. Sometimes I see someone repost about them on Instagram, or sometimes they're referred to in another podcast. But yeah, I think she's just delightful is the only way. It's the best word. It's the best word to use. And I found her really inspiring to watch. So so go and check her out because she's really lovely. Her last podcast she did with her mum, and I think there may be other ones, but I've gone back to the beginning and I'm watching them through, and yeah, she's just lovely. She dyes her own yarn, so I'm thinking that I might invest at some point soon in something because she's got some really lovely colourways. So yeah, go and check her out. I have really enjoyed the comments on my last podcast, my last episode. So please keep commenting. It's one of the reasons I wanted to podcast was to talk about knitting with other knitters. And so it's really great if you do join in the conversation. Come find me on Instagram at birchtree_knits. I'm on Ravelry as under the birch tree, although I don't really use Ravelry socially. Instagram tends to be where I hang out. But I do reply to comments because I only have between 70 and 80 subscribers, so there's not too many comments to respond to. But yeah, at the moment I respond to all comments and all messages, and I really am keen to build my subscriber base because I'm not selling anything, but it just means there's more people to talk to and there's more people to connect with, and that's really fun. I really enjoy that about knitting and about Instagram. The community in general is lovely. Obviously there's issues with which we've talked about before in the podcast in general, but on the whole, the knitting community, the crochet community, they're just yarn and fibre community in general is lovely, and it's really nice to connect with other fibre and yarn arts lovers. So please like, subscribe, share my podcast, help me get the subscribers up a little bit so that we can really connect. Anyway, thank you very much. It's a little bit of a short one this time, but I shall see you in a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and hopefully I shall have a finished object and something else started by then. Thank you very much. Bye bye.